Hi, everyone, and welcome back to the Benue Community Podcast, where we explore stories, ideas, and people who are shaping the future of work and learning. I'm Ben, your host, and today is a special one. It's episode 20, and I'm joining by someone who is not just a guest but also my co-founder at both Better Community and Elevate, Majid Ramezanpour. Majid has had a fascinating journey from building tech products in Iran to driving innovation in the Netherlands. Together, you're now working on tools and experiences to make learning and community building more meaningful and future ready. In this episode, we'll talk about his path, why we started Elevate, and what he sees as the future of learning and tech. So let's dive in. Hi, Ajit. Happy to have you here in episode 20. Maybe you want to introduce more yourself.
Hello, Ben. Thanks for having me. And yeah, if I want to introduce myself, well, I'm originally from Iran, lived in Estonia for a few years, and moved to Netherlands a few years ago. So had quite a journey. Even when I was in Iran, I lived in almost 5 different cities. So I'm quite familiar with moving, I guess. And yeah, my background is mostly technical. From I guess 11 years old, I was fell in love with programming, and till now I feel the same and still going on.
Good, great. And as you mentioned, you experienced working mostly in tech side in different countries. For the first question, I'm curious to know what first inspired you to work at the crossroad of tech and learning.
Well, I would say when you are working in tech and as a programmer, learning is just happening all the time. So there's no time that you can say, okay, I can just stop not learning new stuff and continue what I'm doing because things go out of date. Companies don't need it, projects don't need it, and even the projects, if you just don't touch it for a year, it's just hard to bring it back to life basically a year later. So constant learning is part of the job. And yeah, for me, was this is something built into if you are into tech. I guess in anything you should be into learning, but definitely if you were a programmer for the past 10, 20, 30 years, learning was a constant battle.
So, but as I know, it's not just a concept. You need to stick on it for a long term. Also, from the beginning, when we started to talk about how we can collaborate with each other, you often, yeah, I mean, generally speaking, you often talk about the friction in learning, and you all the time try to think what are the solutions for fix this kind of issues. What does that look like in practice, and how are we trying to solve it through Elevate? Because in Elevate specifically, the point is the idea came from your experience, and then we decided to work on it in collaboration. And then now, definitely, it's more than just working on Elevate, but I'm really curious to know what pushed you to think about kind of a specific solution at Elevate for providing, for decreasing the friction in learning.
Yeah, so I would say the word friction is important, but first of all, we need to know that not all friction, like the word is not a bad thing, but we have two kind of friction. So we have bad friction and we have good friction. And so in learning, for example, if you want to learn something, I don't know, a new concept, and the requirement for it is that you go outside You go to the other part of the city and you need to pass a canal, you need to swim, and you need to eventually get to a classroom. And then now you started to learning something. So the subject or the course comes to you. It's it's too much friction, too much bad friction, basically, in comparing to the part that you're actually focusing on the learning part. But the good friction here is that what you can introduce while you're learning a subject, for example, some quizzes inside the learning, is stops from you to just get to the end of the course like as quick as possible with just pressing next or just going to class and say, okay, it's done. But there's some tests, some exams, some quizzes that makes you to think. So these are good friction. So these two concepts is important to know. And my experience was when I was working in Portrait a few years ago in Estonia. It was a big company and we grew from 300 to more than 1,000. And during these few years, I noticed that once I remember the CEO of company following with people, hey, did you finish these specific courses and these important topics? And for me, it was interesting because if you ask anyone, they like learning, but no one likes to follow the courses or content to learn something. You just want them to learn when it's in front of you. So no one is has an issue with the concept of learning, but the main issue was no one know what tools are we using, even where are this content in this business. Especially when you join a new industry, as anyone who just changed companies, you need to know a lot of stuff. You need to know the industry. There are a lot of terms in the industry. There are a lot of compliance related stuff. There are a lot of internal knowledge inside the company that they share. And these are just spread it everywhere. And one issue we had there was that, oh, not only there are many places that you need to remember which tools you are using. So, for example, the tools you are using, we had to go to a separate website. First, you know what tools it is. Then you need to log in there. Then you are facing a new interface. So then you need to figure out, okay, how does it work with this new tool? Then you search for the course that you're supposed to finish or you want to finish. And then you get to the course, and sometimes some issue with the browser, something happening here, or like some issue with the web app. Eventually, just getting to the actual content and knowledge was too much, basically. The content could be 5 minutes or 10 minutes, but getting to it was already 5 or 10 minutes, and it's too much. And that was the reason many didn't finish these courses and many didn't follow this content. And that was brought the idea of what if. That's the main question. You always ask, what if there is no external website to go on? There's no requirement that someone follow up with you. And all of us hate like reminders. Hey, sending my email has some security issue, or sending, hey, you missed something. So always feeling, I just want to learn something. So I just removed all of these concepts as a like what if, and then we brought them inside the stack. So the content comes to you. So if you want to learn something in 5 minutes or 10 minutes, you don't receive the reminder, you receive the knowledge itself. And that was the idea.
Maybe if I want to just wrap up, you are focusing on learning, but kind of a specific learning. I mean, you're not talking about, for example, in-person educational sessions or the things like that. And it could be kind of customized content for your context. And as I understand, also you are emphasizing on learning in the flow of work, right?
Yep.
But the point is, lots of people often say learning in the flow of work, but what does that really mean to you? I mean, in terms of talking about these specific concepts.
Yeah, that's a good point. And many tools or many solutions of learning that when I read about it, and they all mentioned, hey, you're learning in the flow of work. And I was like,
Exactly.
which
Right.
flow of work, basically? We are at work and you need to leave the work and go to another building, to another place, to another platform to learn. So then I look inside and say, okay, it looks like the word everyone likes to play with this word and sentence, but no one actually does that. And it was surprising to me. Okay, the work is happening in the communication platform that we are using, usually Slack, Teams, or whatever the company is using. And we love this integration, whatever that's happening. So no one likes to go check, I don't know, go into external website, but we always looking for some integration, bringing in the content there, and then notify us for as much as if it's a Slack first app, just being the whole content there. So you don't need to go somewhere else because it's not just learning. In many situations, people just miss this stuff because you always have like some bad friction in between. But while we are working, usually you have you're receiving some messages from your coworkers. Okay. Now, what if one of these messages is the actual content, the actual knowledge that you want to receive? And what if the time that you say, okay, this is the dedicated time and this is the time and dates that I'm feeling learning? Not necessarily something you need to book in your calendar, but that's the time the content and knowledge will come to you and will stay there for you till the time that you're working on them. So basically, you're not leaving the workspace of Slack or whatever platform you're using, but the content and knowledge is becomes part of your work. So that's the flow we are talking about.
So now, as I know, because we are working with each other, you are kind of full-time entrepreneur, but you've been both a solo founder and part of a larger teams. You've had different experiences in different settings. What have these experiences taught you about resilience and adaptability and learning how to learn in an agile way?
Yeah, I would say my history started, even my career started with starting my own startup. I don't remember how many years ago it was, maybe almost 20, yeah, something 18 years ago. I remember something around that time that had some idea and I said, okay, let's start working on it. And I would say doing stuff alone is super hard. It's interesting, but super hard because you don't know what you don't know. And you have all the knowledge by yourself. And you need to know yourself. In that time, I was very technical. And just my word was technology. So if I show a technology to someone and I'm looking at, wow, this is a good product because of technology behind it. And no one cares about technology behind it. And that's interesting for you as a technical person. Oh, no one cares about it. Then I showed the product to them and no one knows where to click. I was like, why they don't know even how to use this beautiful product? But then it's like, oh, there's some concept of user experience, user interface design. And it's like, oh. So then you start to learn this stuff super slowly and it's in a hard way. So if I had a team in that time with these experiences, then the life would be move so much faster. The main thing you need is faster feedback loop. And that's wasn't there basically for me. So it was the first few years was super hard. Eventually got successful, eventually got acquired by another company. But that taught me, okay, if I want to start something, I shouldn't start alone, definitely. And then I started again another project, but with a friend that we talked about it, created this product, but mainly both of our were kind of technical. So that's also then I noticed that it's not just starting alone or starting with someone, but it's about starting with the right team. So then you need to know, okay, these are stuff that you only learn when you make a mistake. You read all this stuff, but you never notice that, okay, how important it is. And you need to just keep going. And for the past few years, I just tried to keep going, even while I was alone, while I was working on some projects. But I just tried to keep them alive, work on them to see where it goes, because you have the passion and you know the vision. But the main thing is just not letting it die. I would say even if you work on something, my idea was if it doesn't work anything, like in any case, I would just put the code, put the open source, just do something like I would definitely learn from it. But then you shouldn't make, if you build some energy, something good, eventually you should release it somehow. So the main thing is either I will just release it to open source, or is it give it to someone as a learning, or even like transfer it to someone, because there is some value you're creating. So the main thing is you need to stay connected to the idea and believing in yourself.
Yeah, and the point is, the first day, I think by chance, when you shared something else with me, and then I found that you decided to work full time on your idea, I was thinking at that time, okay, as you mentioned, I see somebody that who is on exactly on the side of the tech, focusing on developing a product, programming, and the things like that. Of course, you know a lot about the business side as well. And I'm busy with kind of business stuff full time. And what if we can work with each other? And I shared the idea with you. And I think in a short time, we decided just to jump in the game and start playing and the things like that. I'm happy that we started this journey. How was your experience so far? I know it's not a long time. However, we knew each other for a long time, but directly we have been working for few months, less than few months even. But I'm really curious to know, after this kind of collaboration, we decided to focus on. How was your experience? Because it seems for me, we are living in two different worlds with kind of two different mindsets. But at the same time, we are trying to find kind of playground to collaborate with each other. And it's really amazing for me. I mean, personally, I'm enjoying a lot of working with somebody who is totally different from me.
Yeah, that's a good point. Exactly. The main,
And how is your experience in
yeah. So basically, the main thing is I was very happy because I knew what I don't know, and but I that's what I was looking. So already looking for some concept. I knew that I'm very technical. I know the business. I was even engineering manager and leading team, but still I'm always on the tech side. Even while I was reading about business or reading about marketing, sales, about techniques of gathering community, I had co-founded the community, I don't know, 25 years ago, some local Linux community group. But again, you know what you're missing there at the moment. And I have, first of all, I knew I'm trusting myself on the technical side, but I knew I need someone to trust on the community and the business side, someone who has exactly different experience than me, because that was what I was looking. When I see someone who knows a bit of technical, a bit of coding, and it's like, no, 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 I already covered that part. What else? Like exactly the different word that you're covering. And also not only that, but different mindset is good. So if you go somewhere, we all agree together, this maybe is again a replicate of me. That's not very useful. I need someone who disagree with me and say, hey, you don't know this word. Like, yeah, I don't know that word indeed. So then you trust the person. And that was the experience for me. That was like, okay, you're talking about some stuff that is like, okay, I have no idea, but whatever I did in the past, maybe it wasn't very successful. So let's see how it goes. So that was the trust part. That okay, looks like different mindset is going on here, and I like that.
Yeah, and the point is, as you mentioned, maybe trust is an important part of the game because, however, maybe two people know each other very well in terms of, I mean, being a friend or the things like that. When you are working, but not just as kind of colleague, as kind of owners of your business, it's too complicated. And that's why building kind of foundation and building trust, as you mentioned, could be really critical. And now, as you mentioned, we are trying to focus on two different businesses with different DNA. One of them is kind of community driven organization, and another one we are providing specifically. a product in a B2B setting. And in each one, we need to follow different mindsets in terms of maybe building the team or marketing, branding. But at the same time, what I can say, both of them have the same core value. Both businesses we are working on now are focusing on kind of future ready skills and empowering professionals and businesses in terms of, as you mentioned, learning. We are focusing on future of work, future of learning, specifically as Elevate. Our main focus area is EdTech, of course. That's why I want to ask you, in your opinion, what are the biggest opportunities or gaps in the edtech and the future of work landscape right now? What do you think about that?
So the main thing that, especially with the age of I would say, is using the what was missing and is still missing is the knowledge that is available, but it's not shared or it's not easily shared or available to everyone. So is some people in the company, some people in the organization, some people in the community know some stuff. They want to share it, they share it, but it's not everyone cannot see because it's hard to get to it or it's not structured. And this is one thing that I see in many companies. We have a lot of content, a lot of data on knowledge, but it's not shared properly. And that's a big gap. And the other one is personalized stuff. So nothing regarding most of the tools you see is personalized for you, not at all. If you know something, if you have worked in a company for 10 years, they show you the same content. And if you are just onboarding right now, or if you know the business very well, it's same quiz as being as you as like working there for 20 years and someone who just joined 6 months ago. So these are just doesn't make sense basically. And these are the main gaps that I see that adapting to the person is super important.
And if I want to ask you, as a business owner, entrepreneur, I don't know, knowledge worker, whatever, if you want to prepare yourself for coping with these kind of challenges, gaps, or even embracing these kind of opportunities, I don't know, in terms of working for other companies or even launch your idea as an entrepreneur, what kind of skills you think could be really critical to learn, to practice? Anything. It could be hard skills, soft skills, transferable skills, future ready skills. I mean, you can name it, whatever. But if you want to mention two, three main ones, what they would be.
I would say the main thing that we are missing in learning is how to learn, basically. So that's the main thing I see. No one listen or read about like how to learn. Everyone they have some idea and we just go directly to it. We grew up in the schools and they teach us. Some teacher comes and some books is there, but no one knows actually how to learn how the mind works. So these are the stuff that was exciting and interesting for me. It almost got interested like 10 years ago, then 15 years ago. Okay, how the mind actually works. So that was interesting for me. But I'm suggesting people to not just focus on learning a specific topic, but learning how your mind works and how to learn. There are interesting stuff, interesting books. For example, I have some of them, but card Ultra Learning, for example, is one of them I really like. And then another one is Pragmatic Thinking and Learning. These are two interesting books that I would suggest people. It gives you the idea how your mind works and how to learn. And then other than that is being considering yourself not an expert when you want to learn something. I don't know. I have like 20, 25 years of just dealing with programming here and there. But for me, even as a junior comes and say, hey, this is the new idea, this is new project, I will listen. Maybe this person has something to say. I'm just saying, okay, what do you say? What do you suggest? And they show me, hey, this is wrong. Okay, let's see from what perspective this person sees that is wrong. Definitely, I don't reject, hey, you have less experience than me, so I don't listen to you. So I'm ready to consider myself that there's always something that I can learn from people. And even if I share something, then potentially I didn't communicate well. So that's the learning part of me. So I didn't show them very well. So these are the main things that I would say also is interesting to always consider yourself as someone always in the mood of learning, constantly being intern in life, I would say. Always just be ready, basically. And yeah, also maybe knowing in a way that you, when you learn something or you teach something, be be humble enough. Basically, if you teach someone, it doesn't mean you really know every side of it. So understand that during teaching, also you would learn stuff. So focus on that and just share knowledge, do whatever you can do because you would learn more. I remember when I was pretty active in the Linux community and free software community, that's the main idea behind it, just sharing knowledge. And some people I could see mostly in the, would say like in that time was the enemy part was Microsoft fans. It was 10 years ago, so it was fun stories, but it was keeping knowledge to yourself. It just limit you and it's not going to stay with you. People would learn it from other side. But for us, just sharing more, and then people around you also are into learning, and then you gather a community of those who want to share knowledge. So there is nothing that because your community is people around you, just focus on it, just share as much as you can. You have some small communities, some communities even online, but it's not the whole world. The whole world, everywhere, there are some communities there, they are already sharing knowledge to each other. So do that, do as much as you can, and you will learn more.
Good, great. Around 6 years ago, you decided to start a different journey. You moved to Estonia and you had lived and worked there for almost 4 years. Then you decided to again change your way and you moved to the Netherlands. And just now, I mean, in past few weeks, you decided to focus on your own business. I'm really interested to learn more and hear more from your experience of living in different settings, working with different people in different cultures. Definitely the people who are communicating in these three countries, they are communicating in a different way. And maybe the work style, lifestyle, everything we can consider could be totally different. I'm really interested in learning more about some main insights and some main learning you have gained so far based on this journey.
Yeah, indeed, it was a very interesting past 6 years for me. And yeah, the main thing, the first time I went to Estonia for work, and this it was part it was pretty big company, and we had different offices in different countries, and I believe we have like almost 45 or 50 different nationalities in one company, and that was very interesting for me because before I was working in my own country, and it was everything was kind of local. And although we were active on the internet, on these forums, IRC, and different weird communication tools in that time, but still, you would miss this personal communication with different nationalities. And that's when I moved to Estonia. Although the first shock wasn't cultural, but was that the first time I woke up was the time that I woke up almost 3 a.m. in the morning and I saw the sun is in my face. That was the first shock I got when you go from your like middle of the earth to kind of north of the earth. And it's just like, how could it be 3 a.m. and the sun is on your face? So that was the first shock. But other than that, yeah, I could see the cultural difference, especially in Estonia. And it was very different. The way they communicate. First of all, you need to know: is it me, or is it they are with me, or is it for my own culture, or is it like with everyone, or is it with themselves? So then you notice that this is the way they grew up, the different the distance they have, or their communication. And what I wanted, what I thought like the first day going there was like, okay, where are these communities or groups that people go to nature, mountain, whatever together? It's like there's no such concept. So we just I go with my childhood friend. It's like, and how do you know other people? So it's like, okay, that's was the first shock for me. Okay, in my country, so you just go with many random people, those who are into nature, going to mountains, coming back. So you bonding a lot. And but there wasn't there, but also in the company going there. So it was interesting in Estonia. Every company, every apartment, everywhere there have a sauna. The sauna was part of the culture, and going there together. And interestingly enough, that when you feel your culture is very different from this culture, but I was always open minded to that, so like, to understand this culture. And one of my best friends is actually from Estonia. That I told him it looks like we grew up. You could grow up in different country in the same like if he was grew up in Iran, I was grown up in the mindset was pretty similar. We read the same books. We had the shared same mindsets. Like, that was very interesting for me. That doesn't matter where do you grow up. You can just in super different culture seeing someone that has the same mindset as you. So that was interesting. And this also in this multicultural environment. In the last company I was working in Netherlands, I was engineering manager for a team of almost 9 different engineers coming and going, and all 9 of them were from different countries. So that was very interesting for me to understand these cultural differences and knowing how to behave, how someone, if someone doesn't talk in a meeting, does it mean they're shy or is it part of their culture or they feel like someone is a manager, so they shouldn't talk or what's going on? So this is the stuff that it really affects. So you need to know these different cultures. And also, I'm also from different cultures. So I didn't try to see them from my own perspective because at least I changed one country before. And also, when I was in Iran, I also changed almost 5 different cities. So I could see these different mindsets and I totally was accepting it. So these are the stuff that you learn by moving. And sometimes also you moving to different companies, then you can see, oh, this culture is very different. So it's not only countries, companies, everything. These are the experiences that we are talking about. So that's was interesting for me.
Interesting. You use the concept learning by moving. I really like it. It reminded me a concept. There's a concept homeschooling, which means you try to provide the content or learning experience for example, your kids at home and something like that. Also, there's another concept I really like it. It's word schooling. In that concept, in that framework, you try to bring more opportunities, for example, for your kids in terms of coping, experiencing different cultures, different countries, different places, and the things like that. I mean, it's kind of being on the way for a long time with your kids. I mean, visiting different countries, engaging with different cultures, and the things like that. The concept learning by moving is a nice concept you mentioned. I like it.
That's super important because it's not just moving, but also when you move enough and you deal with very different people. And that's the time it's out. You go, I don't know, maybe I've never been Google, but for example, Google, you go there and everyone is motivated by just working in Google and they get paid very well. So then potentially you might not learn enough as a like if you're leading the team or if you're doing something, so they might not stay because of you. It's like because of the name. But when you are going in a smaller companies or if you're leading a team that's some of them are not good match, but you're fighting for it. So you need to do something basically to keep the people engaged. That's the time that you are actually learning. So you in different stage of your life, you shouldn't be afraid of going to uncomfortable places because that's the time you're learning actually. And I kind of speak more about that, but yeah, let's go.
Yeah, and it's really fascinating. I mean, because It helps you to experience kind of international, intercultural mindsets. And sometimes even you can know yourself even better in terms of communicating and coping with others who are totally different from you. So, for a long term, many years, I was busy. Still, I'm a little bit busy with helping young generation to explore how they can learn kind of practical slash soft slash transferable skills to prepare how to take agency for the roles in their life at work or if they want to run their business, something like that. For many years, I've been doing lots of different initiatives or activities or the things like that. My question now is something related to that concern I have. If you could go back and give one piece of advice to your younger self when you were just starting out in tech and entrepreneurship, what it would be?
Yeah, I would say my advice is what I would tell myself or younger self is that know that the first year, the time that you have the hardest time is the time that you're actually learning something. So I changed my technology and career a few times, enough time that all the time, the first year and a half of going to this new role was super hard, then caused you to have a lot of doubts. And that was exactly the time that after many years, noticed that what I know, what I learned is because of these few times that I faced this stuff. So I knew a lot, then I threw it out and I moved to a new technology, new world, new roles. And that was the time that you need to know that it's happening. It's okay. It's normal. And just be prepared and just let the time pass. Continue, grind, learn. That's it.
And enjoy.
Yeah, and did enjoy it. But because like yeah, the time that you learn it, that you feel comfortable, it's like, ah, that was it.
Yeah, and going off ups and downs in your journey even much more important because anyway, in a way you are learning, you are experiencing something new, you can explore more, you can, expand your perspectives and the things like that. And you have no idea how these kind of experiences can help you in the future.
Yeah, yeah, indeed. You don't know basically. Like for me, when I changed a lot that maybe didn't make sense in that time, but I had some idea like in a few years it would be interesting. But many people don't want to let go of the knowledge they have. They don't ready to unlearn some stuff. It's like, no, I'm expert and that's it. This is the word that I see.
Exactly. Even, I mean, around 10 years ago, I think I met you in kind of networking event in tech. And at that time, I had no idea. Maybe after 10 years, lots of ups and downs, we engaged in the same projects and collaborating with each other for building some kind of organization in the Netherlands. I mean,
Yeah.
that was at that time, I had no idea at all. Anyway, so maybe during this conversation, I forgot to ask something specifically about your experience, insights, other things like that. Or you want to stress on something that you think it's really important to share with us again and again and again. If you think there is something that you want to emphasize, let us know.
Yeah, I would say again, if, for example, if you don't know something, anything in your life, it's not that you didn't learn it, it's that you never taught properly and you don't know how to learn. So that's what I want to focus again. Try to learn how to learn and know these techniques, and you want you would see the results basically. Just try to understand how the brain works, and yeah, that's it.
So that brings us to the end of this special episode. at Benno Community Podcast with Majid, my co-founder at Benno Community, as well as Elevate and a good friend on this shared journey. From removing barriers in learning to dreaming up new ways to support professionals and teams. Majid's story is a great example of staying curious and also moving forward with purpose. If you are listening to this episode, you can follow his work and ours, of course, through elevate.org or find us at Speno Community. Thanks for joining us for this episode. If you enjoyed it, please share it with a friend or a colleague. And if you want to connect with Majid, of course, we are sharing his LinkedIn in the description of this episode. We are sharing this episode in different platforms, including Apple Podcast, Spotify, Castbox, and other platforms as well. Feel free to share your comments, approach us. If you have any idea, we are more than happy to learn, to hear from you. And until the next time, keep learning, stay open to change, and let's keep building the future together. So, Majid, anything else you want to mention?
No, it was good. Thanks for having me. It was very fun.
Thank you. Thank you a lot, and see you soon, of course. And we are talking more later on.
Yeah.
Bye.
Bye bye.